Content warning! This video game features graphic and violent images and blood and stuff like that. And in the subtitles, you might even see some swears, or cusses, or potty words. So keep that in mind, thank you. Music is... Hello, how are you? We are talking about No More Heroes 3 today. This is my review impressions. It's more than a simple impressions video, but less than a review because I didn't actually finish the game yet. So there you go, that's what we're doing. Many thanks to Grasshopper Manufacture for providing me with a copy of the game. They contacted me directly and asked if I wanted to cover the game and do a review, and I am quite honored, honestly. And I gotta admit, fully admit, I had no interest in this game. None. 0% interest in this game. I mean, you know, they gave me the code, and so I figure I might as well try it out and everything. But leading up to this, just not really my cup of tea. These games, they look really cool and they look really stylish and fun. Just not my thing, the whole over the top. Just like action games. I don't know. It's just a thing. Like Travis Strikes Again. Just didn't really care too much at all. But let this be proof. Let this be proof that sometimes you gotta try games outside of your wheelhouse, because sometimes you will find yourself pleasantly surprised. So it's not gonna be any secret to anybody who knows anything about these games or has seen any trailers for any of these games. The first thing to hit you when you pop the game on, the style. That style smacks you in the face. That style punches you in the face and then throws you across the room and you smash into the wall. It breaks a chair over your head. It is fast. It hits you fast and very hard. And it's in a way that's even a little hard to describe, and I don't want to like spoil everything, but basically just like visually, the game never stops changing, at least like during cutscenes, and especially like in this early section of the game, because it's not just about style. You know, lots of games are stylish. It's also about variety. It changes. It just throws in these random styles and references and stuff just all over the place. The game clearly has a reverence for like old, you know, like old style, old school arcade games and kind of stuff like that. That style is all over the place, the whole pixely neon aesthetic and everything. But there's more than that too. Lots of different like movie styles, and anytime the game is showing you stuff in any kind of cutscene kind of thing, you just never know what it's gonna be. And the game is even kind of presented in an episodic kind of way. You know, it wasn't released episodically, but the chapters of the game, even with like credits in between, and it all feels really authentic. I mean, like the impression I got just immediately, right out of the gate, it's a very big auteur energy, you know, like it's the filmmaker term auteur, where like they're so in charge of every element of production that you know that what you're seeing is like their vision entirely. And that's kind of, I mean, you know, for all I know, there's a whole entire team that goes into this, but I know Suda51, you know, very noted for having these great styles in his games, and that's the vibe that I get. It's just like, this is probably what was in his mind, and it is now on the screen. Because it's so specific, too. It's all over the place, but it's laid out in such a specific way, and all these little, I don't know, these little tidbits that it gives you, just one after the other. And like, I would say, that's really what hooked me. That's really what hooked me right away. I knew it was gonna be a cool game, I knew it was gonna be stylish, but it's so crazy and off the wall, and so like you just never know what you're gonna see next, and that's what's so exciting. Even when it comes down to just like the main enemies in the story, you don't know what you are gonna see. Every time you turn a corner, what kind of weird reference or thing is it gonna throw at me next? And I cannot stress enough just how authentic it all is. It feels like it comes from such a place of like genuine love for all of these different styles and for old arcade games and stuff. It's not just emulating a style because it's fun or cool or whatever. Like, he loves this stuff. This means a lot to him. And in line with that authenticity, every time it goes for a style, it nails it. Every single time. Looks awesome. Everything is super just slick and polished. It just pulls off everything that it wants to do. Lots of fun cutscenes, you know, lots of characters, fully voice acted and all that stuff. The cutscenes are a little bit uneven. You'll get like really nice ones and they remapped the mouth movements, and then every once in a while you get the ones where they kind of didn't, and they're a little rougher around the edges, so it's a little weird going from one to the next, and they're not quite at the same level of quality, you know? But overall, like, lots of fun cutscenes, you know, every chapter of the game you go through, just can't wait to see what's next. And of course, like, the game, again, if you know anything about these games, very violent. It's all super duper over the top, way over the top with the violence and the profanity, and even like potty humor and stuff, and just like humor in general. Like there's not a serious moment in the, okay, maybe like a little bit, but for the most part, this is 99.9% just like the silliest game you've ever played. The story itself is fun. You got a big mean alien guy, and he's like the biggest jerk in the entire universe, and yet he's also like, there's like just a little bit of likability to him. He's just so like, so over the top and just so weird. And there's a bunch of alien guys, and the whole thing is like, they're all ranked. So like Travis has to, you know, it's like an alien invasion, but it's also set up like a tournament. He has to beat them and climb his way up the ranks, which is very funny. And going into the story and seeing all the characters and stuff, there's clearly a lot that went on in the earlier games that, you know, I'm not privy to. You know, I don't know all these characters, so, you know, fans of the series are gonna understand this more. Why does he yell berries when he's every time you're fighting? Like, I looked it up, and I think the name of his sword, his katana, is like the Bloodberry. But even on top of that, he just says berries, names, Blueberry. He just says names all the time while you fight. It's really weird. I don't get it. It's actually pretty annoying. It's constant. It's literally constant. The entire game, throughout every single battle in the whole game, is just yelling berry names. Little annoying. But there you go. That's a thing that you probably understand if you've played the previous games. So there's a lot of that. But absolutely, I never get the impression that I have to have played the previous games. There's no plot points that I don't understand or anything. It's more just about character interactions and references and things like that. But it's definitely a story that I can enjoy on its own. And speaking of fighting, the fighting is good. The fighting is really good. Yeah, I'm not usually into just like more straightforward action games. I don't know, I guess I want there to be a lot more other stuff. You know, this is very focused on the action, but it is really good. Like, the fighting is just like slick. It feels great. You know, a lot of it's like standard. You got your light attack and your strong attack. You got special attacks on a cooldown and you know, stuff like that. You can stun enemies and throw them, and you got this really fun little like quick time event thing where, you know, you enter into a thing and it gives you a direction and you slash in that direction. And it's one of the, you know, you gotta jump and a dodge, and it's all very basic, but at the same time, it's still really, really fun because it's just executed so well. It's just so fun to do. And I'm not even that far in the game, but there's already so many different enemies that attack in different ways and require different strategies. So like, you're using every tool in your inventory, you know? And one really fun thing about the combat is this like slot machine thing where you earn like a go on the roulette, and then, you know, depending on what you get bonuses and power-ups and stuff like that. And even like when you die, you get to spin like a roulette to get like a bonus or a not bonus or a detriment going back into the battle. So there's a lot of randomness, and that's just fun because just it's a silly element of randomness that just adds a little bit of chaos to the whole thing. And really, it's the presentation that makes the combat feel so good. You know, it controls really well, but then just seeing the visual and audio feedback just from everything you do, especially the QTEs and the slashing and everything, is just, it's just so fun to initiate even just like the simplest thing. And like, I didn't know anything about No More Heroes, anything. Apparently he's got like a Gundam. It's got like a Gundam suit that you put on sometimes, and you blast guys with it, and you go up into space and fight like space monsters floating in space. It's crazy. It's really weird. Did not anticipate this kind of thing. So you got like kind of an open world element. You know, there's just like the city that you can ride around on your bike, and it's fun. The controls are a little bit wonky, but it's fun riding around. And you know, you can get a boost and you can nitro all over the place and slide, and every time you hit something, he just goes flying off of it, and like the music just like stops dead, which is really, really funny. And this is probably a part of the game that might lose some people, where like you don't really have levels, at least from where I've been, like levels that you move through in the game, like during the story. It's really a collection of fights. You have this overworld, and you go, there's little challenge fights, and then there's like qualifying fights, and you do enough of those, and then you get to go do the next big major ranking boss fight. So it's really just kind of wandering around the world and finding fights. That's kind of how it is, which, and you know, the overworld, it can sometimes feel a little bit barren when it really is just that. But there are a few other things. There's other little mini games, you know, you unclog toilets because the toilets are your save points, and you and you mow grass and stuff like that. There's a few people to talk to. So far, though, it's a little bit empty, but you unlock more sections of the world as you go along. It is mostly just about that series of fights, though, which really doesn't feel so bad to me so far. Like, I'm not really getting tired of it, just because whenever you do go into one of those story fights, there's so much going on, and all the cutscenes and everything, and the combat itself is so good that I'm not really, like, I could see another game doing this format a lot worse, and it getting pretty, you know, pretty empty feeling, pretty repetitive and unsubstantial, but so far, I'm still enjoying it. It's still fun to progress, it's still fun to ride around and explore and stuff like that. Oh yeah, and there's some other fun supplemental stuff. That's other stuff you can do in the overworld. You got like a little laboratory, and you can like use certain currency to like power up your different stats, and you can collect junk from all the different battles and stuff you do, and you can craft or make or whatever these little chips that go in your thingy, and then it helps you get stronger in all these different ways. So that's fun. There's a nice like sense of progression there. You get stronger throughout the thing. That's always a good thing. The presentation on the overworld, I think a lot of people probably saw this in like the trailers and stuff. It's not the strongest. The frame rate is pretty low. It gets pretty choppy when you're on your bike, and you know, the world itself, pop in, is pretty strong. It's clearly struggling to run on the Switch, but honestly, I don't mind it too much. It's still fun riding around, and I still enjoy, like, I still visually enjoy the area. I still like the use of color. I like seeing all the buildings and the big stuff out in the background. Like, I still like it. And even if the performance on the overworld isn't the best, the performance is always good where it counts. You know, like, anytime you're in a battle and you're doing, like, that, it's always really nice and slick whenever you're actually doing something action-y and it really matters. You know, the game knows where to prioritize its stuff. The game knows where you absolutely need to have just a good, solid, smooth experience. And what else? The music. The music is really good. The overall sound design, you know, voice acting is pretty good. It's really hokey and cheesy, but like in a pretty fun way. Music is, there's a lot of really nice, I mean, I frequently find myself like nodding along with the music and being like, hey, that's pretty good. I'm gonna have to download that later. I'm gonna have to find that on YouTube somewhere, because that's nice. Overall, I'm really enjoying No More Heroes 3. This is good. I'm like, it's definitely not a game, like I said, it's not a game that I would have played otherwise, but now that I've given it a shot, I'm enjoying it. I am definitely having enough fun. I want to keep playing it. I feel like if I hit a roadblock, if I hit a thing that's like too hard or too frustrating or whatever, that will probably make me quit. It needs to maintain a certain, like, I don't know, a certain feel for me to make it all the way to the end. But I'm enjoying it enough that I am intrigued. I definitely want to keep playing. I'm having fun with it. And I don't even generally like over-the-top anime action games. That's not even my thing. So if that is your thing, you're probably gonna love it. The combat is really finely tuned. A lot of the baddies are just really, really fun and really tricky, and you gotta figure them out and do it, and it feels really good when you beat them. But if anything, if anything, play it for that style. Play it for just the cutscenes and the craziness. I mean, like, visually and stylistically, it's a roller coaster ride. It's an absolute roller coaster ride. It's a theme park attraction. You just don't know what you're gonna see next. Well, head on down to them comments. Tell me what if it's later, tell me what you think about the game, if you played it, or tell me if you're excited to play it. Did you play the other games? Should I play the other games? Would I like the other games if I like this one? Who knows? Let me know. You have a wonderful day. Thanks again to Grasshopper Manufacture. Super duper nice of you to give me a code. Super awesome. Thank you. And you all have a wonderful day. Goodbye.